Arrays are one of the most common types that you will use as a programmer. Today I'm going to talk about 8 array methods that allow you to work with arrays much easier. Now let's get into it. Welcome to Tech Illuminate Academy, the ultimate destination for learning how to build your dream applications and land your dream job. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest tutorials. In this video, we're going to talk about array methods. So I talked about arrays in the last video. I'm not going to get too in depth about arrays. This video is only focused on array methods. So if you're unfamiliar with arrays or need a refresher, I have a link to the array video in the description of this video. The array object comes built with methods that allow you to work with arrays a lot easier. So I have an array of items set up in my JavaScript file, which we will use to work with all the array methods I'm about to show you. The first method I'm going to show you is the filter method. The filter method is a method that will return a new array with items that meet a specified criteria that I'm going to set. For example, what if I wanted to filter all the items in the array with a price of less than 500? The first thing I'm going to do is create a variable named filtered array. And I'm going to set it equal to items dot filter. This method takes a function and it also takes a parameter. In this case, I'm going to add item. And in order to return the filtered items in the new array, you need a true and false statement. So I'm going to create a true and false statement. I'm going to write item dot price is less than or equal to 500. And this will filter all the items that are less than or equal to 500. So I'm going to print the filtered array to the console. Filtered array. If you look in the console, if you see all the items, all the prices are less than 500. The filter method is pretty cool and useful. You pretty much have to use the return keyword with a true and false statement. If the statement evaluates to true, then a new array will return with the items that match that criteria. And if false, then no items will be returned in the array. Another cool thing about this method and a lot of other methods that I'm going to show you is it does not change the original array of items. It returns a completely new array. To show you, I'm going to log the items array to the console right now. Right after. And you see that second one, you see all the original items in the array, which is a new item, new array, which is the old array. And then we have our new array, which has all the items that are less than $500. The next method I'm going to show you is the map allows you to take an array and make a new array out of the old array. Say if we want to return all the names of the items in the array. All we have to do is change the filter map. And it's same as the filter in that it takes a function and a parameter. And then you use a return keyword and then the item dot property. So I'm going to erase this and change this to name. And then I'm going to change this also to filter names. If we print out all the names, log filter names, and if I expand this, you'll see all the names from the items array. And if we want price instead, we could do that. Just get all the prices. I expand this. You see all the prices. Next, I'm going to talk about the find method, which allows you to find a single object in an array. So I'm going to change the const to find item and change map to find. And it takes the exact same thing as map, a single function with one item as the parameter. We have a true and false statement that will return the first item that it finds. For example, what if I want to find item.name equal book, or just an item that has a name of book? So what I can do is I can say item.name equal triple equals. We're looking for this book. Okay, filter names is not on, so we got to change it to what we changed it before. Find item. And if we expand this, and if you see, we have the object with the property named book printed to the console. This find method will only log the first item that it finds. Next method I'm going to talk about is the forEach method. It is different than the other functions we have covered. It does not need a return statement. This is going to work similarly to a for loop, but it takes a function with a single parameter. So I'm going to change this to forEach. And then I'm going to remove this. And then say if I wanted to loop over all the names, I can do console.log, all the names. So let me fix that. Item name. And then you see I've printed all the names of all the items in the array. And if I wanted to do price, do the same thing and print out all the prices of everything in the array. This makes working with arrays much easier than writing out the verbose long for loop syntax. The next method that I'm going to talk about is the sum method. The sum method returns true with the first item that matches and returns false if none of the items in the array match. It's the same syntax as some of the other methods where it takes a function and a parameter like item. For this example, what if we wanted to check for an item that is inexpensive, which I would set at less than $100? The sum function is either going to return true if it finds the first item that matches and returns false if it finds none. So what I'm going to do is change this to sum. And I'm going to rewrite this variable to inexpensive items. I'm going to change this. Turn item price less than or equal to $100. I'm going to change this here. Items. I'm going to print the item to the console and it returns true. But what if we wanted to check for an item that is less than or equal to 100, which would be free? So I'm going to change this to 0. See, it returns false because nothing in the array is true for this statement. The next method we're going to talk about is the every method, which is similar to the sum method, but instead it checks if every item matches the specified criteria. For example, what if we check to see if every item in here is less than $100? So let's change this to and it evaluates to false. And say if we change this to, what's the highest price here? 30,000. So 40,000. And we could call this an expensive item. and you see it evaluates to true, which is higher than 30,000. The next method I'm going to talk about is the reduce method. It's different than the other arrays because it's performing an operation on the array and returning a combination of all those different operations. What if you wanted to get the total price of all the different items in the array? One method you would use would probably be a for loop, where you would add all of the numbers to calculate the total price of all the items in the array. Reduce makes it a little bit more easier for you. To use the reduce method, the syntax is a bit different. First thing you do is change the method to reduce. And it also takes a function and two parameters. The first parameter is the current value. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to add current value. And the second parameter is the item we're going to be iterating over. Then after that, I'm going to write the return keyword. Then after that, we keep the return keyword, item. Then after that, it also takes another parameter, the starting point at 0. And then we can rewrite this to item dot price plus current value. And we get 32,248. This is basically all the prices of the item combined with the end result of a single value. Reduce is a little bit more harder to wrap your mind around, so I'm going to break it down even further. So we have our reduce method, which takes the current value, which will begin with our starting point value, which is 0. The reduce method iterates on the first item in the array, then it adds it to 0, and then the reduce method iterates on the first item, takes item.price, then adds it to 0, and then the current value is now, for instance, if the first item was 30,000 and it got added to 0, the first current value would now be 30,000. And then for the next item, which is 300, gets added to the current value, which was the previous value, which was 30,000. It'll be 30,300. And then the reduce method iterates and runs on that until all the values have been iterated through. And the method will keep running until there are no more items to add. The last method I will talk about is the includes method. This method is a little bit different because it does not take a function. It will just take a single argument. So instead of passing a bunch of objects, we're going to do an array of numbers. So I'm going to change this to an array of numbers. One, two, three, four, 5. And I'm going to change this to includes. And like this. And then add. And with includes, all you have to do is just pass the value. So we're going to check if 2 exists within this array. And then let me change this to it's included. Okay, items is not defined. Okay, we didn't change this to numbers. And if I press save, we see it returns true. But if we pass in 7, which is not in the array, it should return false. This is better than doing a complex find, especially when you have a simple array of numbers. That's it for array methods. Learning what these methods are will help make your life easier when working with arrays. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.